Let's talk about how groundwater is used. So it's pumped to the surface by wells that are submerged within the well. And the quality of the groundwater can be different depending on the location of the well and the depth of the well. So typically domestic wells are shallower, not as deep as community water system wells or irrigation wells. So how does a well provide drinking water? There is a pump located submerged beneath the surface. There's also a well screen at the bottom to prevent sand and rocks from entering into the well. There is a pressure tank and a power supply pumping the water to the surface, and there's a well cap preventing debris or insects or other physical items from entering into the well itself. And this slide just describes in detail, for those who may have printed it, what I just described in the visual before. So when using a domestic well, it's important to know if your water is safe to drink, because private domestic wells, they are not legally required to test or to treat drinking water. And the only way to know if well water, your domestic well, is safe to drink is to have that water tested by a qualified laboratory. We'll talk more about that in a minute, but how does a renter know if you have a well? So if you are renting your home or not the owner, you may not know if you have a well, and a good way to know is to either ask the landowner or to look around for, there's some pictures here of examples of a wellhead or a pump next to your home. So how do you test to know if your well water is safe? So again, as mentioned, the Clear Water Foundation is focused on nitrate related issues, but also there may be other contaminants which make your water unsafe, and it's important to think about those when you have your well tested. So you can contact a qualified laboratory, I'll show in a minute, to ask them to come out and sample your well for you, or you can contact the local lab and they can give you specific instructions to sample it yourself. I'll show the list of local labs in a minute. Also important, coming soon, the Clear Water Foundation will offer a free domestic well testing program, which is scheduled to begin in May and June in 2021. So listed here are two local laboratories, one in Visalia, one in Tulare. There are others within the Central Valley, but these are most local to us in the Clear Water Foundation area. Fruit Growers Laboratory will sample for nitrates, pesticides, and minerals, and the estimated cost for all of those constituents is approximately $200 if you take the sample yourself. Sierra Dairy Testing will sample for nitrate only, and that's approximately $50. Once you get a well sampling report back, this is an example, and we'll talk briefly of how to understand the information displayed here. So typically on the furthest left, you'll see the type of chemical or the name. In this case, we're looking at nitrate as N. So the result here is indicated at 11, and we'll talk more in a minute. You would need to be aware that that is not safe to drink, because anything at or over 10 does not meet drinking water standards. These other categories are important. Most importantly would be the reporting limit. Because 10 is considered the threshold, you need to ensure that your laboratory analyzes your sample with a reporting limit less than the safe drinking water standard. The other information here provides information on, or the additional columns here provide information on laboratory quality parameters, indicating whether or not the sample was analyzed appropriately. Typically, the first page of a lab report will tell you if there was any serious issues in the analytical process. So there are some existing well sampling programs available locally. Self-Help Enterprises currently has one that's ongoing. And as mentioned earlier, the Clear Water Foundation will be launching a domestic well sampling program as soon as May. So there's no cost for that program, and we'll be talking about it in the next slide as well. So if you have questions about general water quality safety, or other constituents not regarding nitrate, and you can contact the Tulare County Health Department, which their website is listed here, and their phone number is also listed here. So, okay, with that, let's talk about maximum contaminant levels, or a drinking water standard. So these are set to protect human health, and they're set by both state and federal government, and they're different for each contaminant. So as I mentioned, the standard for nitrate is 10 milligrams per liter, which is described as, which is a concentration. But for other contaminants, it may be less, in many cases is less than 10 milligrams per liter. That standard for nitrate is 10 milligrams per liter. And we do know that some local wells have nitrate concentrations above 10 milligrams per liter. If your well result is above 10 milligrams per liter in nitrate, your water should not be used for drinking, making formula, or cooking. Water high in nitrate can safely be used to bathe, clean, do laundry, wash dishes, and grow crops. There are possible health impacts related to nitrate. Nitrate can interfere with the blood's ability to carry oxygen and can result in nitrate poisoning known as methanoglioma, or also commonly known as blue baby syndrome. And symptoms can develop quickly, especially in infants, and include shortness of breath, blueness of the skin and or lips, and if it goes untreated, may be fatal. If you see these symptoms, medical attention should be sought immediately. Children under 6 months old and pregnant women are most at risk. So again, if you find out that your water is high in nitrates, do not cook or drink your water because that is unsafe. And do not use your water to make baby formula. Also, do not boil your water because boiling does not remove nitrates. And do not use a store-bought counter pitcher filter, my goodness, because that does not remove nitrates as well. But it is safe to bathe, do laundry, wash hands, clean and wash dishes.